For the second party composition, we're going to take in a bounty hunter, a grave robber, an occultist, and an arbalest. We get into another fight immediately in this dungeon. I'm going to use the occultist to debuff the ghoul. This will lower the protection and the damage output of the ghoul, because they naturally have 40% protection and now it has only 20. I'm going to mark him and then try to burst them with my marking strategy. As you look through my lineup, most of my individuals have above 30 dodge, which is really nice because it makes them deceptively tanky, but we'll talk about this later. Some of the abilities I put on are obviously a high functioning mark strategy. I have a mark on the bounty hunter and the arbalest, just in case either one can set the other one up. The cultist, I went a pretty heavy utility build, as the cultist it typically is due to all of his abilities. He can pull people, he can heal people, he can damage people, and he can also lower the protection and the damage of other individuals. Some of the cons are low stun diversity. I only technically have one stun in the bounty hunter, which is bad. I have no bleed damage, which isn't necessarily bad for this dungeon because I'm fighting a lot of skeletons, but if you're going to go into another dungeon where bleed is easier, this would be a negative. Blight damage is much better, and that is why the grave robber is really good here. This lineup is deceptively tanky because they can dodge a lot, but once they get a couple of criticals on them and stuff, you need to get into full heals mode. With the occultist and the arbalest, you should be able to heal people to full health in one turn, but spread damage is the big killer of this party because you can't heal multiple individuals at the same time for enough health for it to matter. This party has no designated stress heal abilities, which means you're reliant on critical strikes, campfires, or what the dungeon gives you inside of it. The occultist has a lot of strong abilities and a decent amount of dodge, which makes him deceptively tanky. As you see here, I'll be using the pool to pull him forward so my bounty hunter or my grave robber can kill him. Sadly, I leave him at 2 health, which is really annoying, and I'll have to sniper shot him at 2 health, but sometimes we need to get rid of the massive stress dealers, because that is one of the cons of this lineup. There is no reliable stress healing, which means anything that does stress damage should be focused immediately, because there's no easy way to do that other than critical chances and Kuros. Something this lineup does very well is heal one individual, because I have an arbalest who has the bandages who can increase healing done, and obviously an occultist who has 0 to 22. As you saw there, a critical only gave 10 health, which means I got a low number on that, which is obviously one of the main downfalls of an occultist being one of your main healers. We can keep using the bandages to keep increasing that healing percentage to eliminate more of the RNG factor of the heal from the occultist. I'm going to let a few rounds progress so you can see how this fight's setting up. I don't want to narrate the whole entire thing. As you can see there, that's a 31, that pretty much does all of it, and at level 6, it's very hard to get an own bleed on your people because bleed resistances are rather high at this moment. I'm going to try to use the come hither and get max damage, and I do. That's really lucky. If I didn't and I got to pull him forward, he'd at least be in second position for other people to hit him. And as you can see, I got another one on healing there, which is something a Vestal would not do, or someone else with a more reliable heal. As I'm going to say 100 times, that is one of the problems with the occultist. You don't even have to put the heals on the occultist, but I didn't trust bandages as my only healing mechanism, or food, so I usually like to have one person with an okay healing ability. The person who also heals, I try not to have as my main damage, because if they're one of my main damage individuals and they're focusing on healing, that means the rounds are getting longer. And if they're not that good at healing to begin with, that means that they're not making up for the damage that is coming in. And 19 is much better, gets her to full health, and we're ready to go. Once again, this party is extremely well at damage because of the mark, and also it's just naturally strong at damage because the bounty hunter has a couple of good trinkets on, and so does the arbalest. You also can't underestimate the grave robber's potential for damage because of her attack row diversity, which is another pro of this lineup. I put down burst heal because there's a chance between the arbalest and the occultist to get a massive 31 heal as you saw before. For most individuals that aren't like a leper or a crusader with a health item, that should probably be about 3/4 of their health bar, if not more, depending on the individual. This should be able to get them off death's door and almost to full health. Finally, this is an excellent marking / debuff group. The Cultists can debuff protection and damage, which is something that's very useful for those more armored units. The Bounty Hunter and the Arbalest also have marks which can increase either the dodge chance or once again the protection in case the individual has above 20%. We also get to a strong attack diversity because the Grave Robber and Arbalest alone do an amazing job, and even the Bounty Hunter can pull people in for a good attack diversity. I'm going to reduce the protection to damage that the Bone Bearer can do because he can become rather annoying. I'm also going to be very conscientious of how low I get these other little skeletons because I don't want to finish them off because the Bone Bearer can bring them back. I'm going to mark the Bone Bearer real quick to reduce his dodge chance because 34 is really high. I'm going to let a couple of rounds progress so you can see how this fight is breaking out.
The will to fight falters.
I get a lucky critical there which will remove him from the fight. A problem you're going to see is certain individuals are very position specific, and I should have put the Occultist in the 3rd position. I'm reduced to doing a debuff on the front guy again to reduce his damage because I did not put him in the 3rd row. I will rectify the situation after this fight, however that is a glaring flaw. I am fortunate that this fight only had the 2 Bone Clubsmen and not other individuals because 4 men with the Bone Bearer and especially high protection skeletons can make these fights rather difficult. So the fact that I ran into these guys in the hallway with just Bone Militia was very fortunate on my end.
A momentary abatement. Passage.
Once again, we have another Bone Bearer, and that Spear Skirmisher needs to die first because he can do massive damage. But I'm still going to focus on the Bone Bearer because I need to get rid of him so he doesn't resummon anybody. This fight's going to demonstrate when multiple people start getting injured, it's very hard to make up for the lost health. I'm debating where to put these Blight Arrows because I definitely want to tick someone out and not kill them completely. So I'm checking my shot right now. It says 10 to 19. I'm going to guess on the lower side, and I got very lucky that I did 13 and not 14. He will tick out, and he will not be able to be resummoned by the Bone Bearer. I actually did a lot more damage to the Bone Skirmisher than I may have wanted to, because I need to finish him with a critical strike now, so he's not brought back. The Impale ability is the one where if it starts hitting, I won't be able to heal people rapidly. I also need my Cultists for debuffing related abilities. That's the only problem of putting them as your healer and debuffer, so his utility may not be able to be utilized due to the fact he has to be healing people on a consistent basis. I am going to finish off the Bone Bearer before I heal the Bounty Hunter because he still has about 2/3 of his health left. I'm calling the Bone Lancer a Skirmisher because I saw he had a spear, so if you're getting confused, that's who I mean when I say Bone Skirmisher. This Impale is beginning to stack up on these squishier targets. It's not too bad, but I don't have anyone like a Vestal that can heal everyone back to full health immediately. So once multiple people start getting hit, such as the Grave Robber and Bounty Hunter, I need to start choosing who's more important to heal first over the other. Let me know what your favorite party is. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe below.